an Adam Gold Show after dark. It is definitely after dark, and it's definitely cold on Studio's screened-in porch. I'm Adam. That's Jay Kumar. We will hit week 14 of the Premier League in just a minute, but match week 5 is in the books with Champions League. So my first question to you, Jay, is does Arsenal's win over clearly junior varsity Lens count towards bowl eligibility?
You get one of those, right? One of those FCS games a season to count. You can't count two of them.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it counts. And
Of course.
what's been more impressive is the last 3 times. Arteta talked about it actually in his midweek press conference about game states and how in the Premier League teams play so much deeper against Arsenal. And if you've looked then Europe, and he anticipates that in Europe there's going to be a little bit more space on the pitch because teams are more willing to try to go get something from the game because of how tight the window is. And you've seen it play out. Lens, Sevilla, and PSV have all come to the Emirates. They all decided to play, and they all got ran off the park in the first 45 minutes. I mean, it's just there's just no space. You can't give.
Didn't even take 45 today. Took like
5-0 in 30 minutes up 4-0, 5-0 after halftime. This is an incredible performance. And now if you look at it, most goals scored of any team in the Champions League so far, fewest goals allowed. Group has things to do with it, but City have a group as well that's pretty favorable to them. And Bukayo Saka leading all scorers and goals and assists.
Yeah, well, Saka played well. Martinelli played well. Kai Havertz can't stop scoring now. Yeah. So he's just a goal walking.
Well, first game all season where Jesus, Martinelli, Saka, Odegaard, and Havertz played together.
Yep.
So,
it matters, right?
It matters. And I think Jesus is the linchpin there. He is the straw that stirs the drink. He makes everybody around him better. He creates space for Havertz. He wins the ball deep. He does some of the dirty work that Eddie and Kedia can't do.
Yeah.
And then he could be, outside of Saliba, the most important player Arsenal have.
He's a complete. He's not just a striker. He's probably, honestly, might not even be a striker. He's more. It may be more accurate to just to call him a center forward, but not a striker.
Yeah, right.
Because he's a complete player. So, and honestly, Odegaard has not been what Odegaard was last year. A lot of that is due to injury, and I would say the same thing about Martinelli. So yeah, you guys are you guys ran roughshod over Lens, and they had it coming to them after having the audacity to take 3 points from you guys the first time. So that's fine. You guys are through, and that's good. Now, dead rubber for the last one.
Through top of the group, and it's a good timing too because that match is sandwiched in between Villa away and Brighton away, and right before Liverpool. So being able to prioritize the league and rest midweek is going to be really big during the Christmas period.
Can't wait to see who you start.
Fixture. Saka, because it's Arteta and he doesn't rotate Saka.
Well, it's true. He's like it's in Sharpie on the team sheet. Were you surprised? Because I was surprised, given some injury issues, especially in the midfield, that Pep started as basically as good a team as he was going to be able to start, save for Ederson not in, Ortega in, but Ortega's a top keeper anyway. I was surprised that City rolled out a top because they didn't need the game against Leipzig, and they played the first half like they didn't need the game as they were trailing 2-0.
They did need the game. They did.
Not really.
I mean, maybe not on goal differential, but if you just. The Champions League is one of those things. They locked up first place by winning that game. If they lost to Leipzig, then they're tied on points, and it comes down to the last match week. And then you have to go out and play a strong side.
They weren't going to lose. Leipzig's the only team in that group that has even a snowball's chance of getting them.
Sure, except it's football. And I'm sorry, like you just can't. So December 13th would be that game against Red Star Belgrade. I'm just pulling up the fixture list. That match would have fallen in between for City. That doesn't matter. It would have been Luton
and they could have played
fine.
nobody in that match and still gotten a result out of it. I
they
was
were
just
through.
surprised.
I just don't think that you can risk. I'm not. I think Pep and Arteta are cut from the same cloth. As until it's secured, you go out and play, and you're paid to go win the games, and it's the Champions League, and so you need to go out there and win that. And it secured the 3 points, and it won them their group. And if it did not have the significance of clinching the group, you probably see a rotated side. But given they needed another point, you don't leave it to the next game. You go ahead and try to get it when you can.
They got all three because they played the second half in the opposite fashion that they played the first half. My feeling is Pep started essentially a top 11 because he hasn't been happy with the way his team has played. That's why
I'm sure that has to do with it too. And I think it's a combination of factors, right? If they were rolling and he felt like he could trust the squad a little bit more, you may see some rotation, but I don't think he feels as though he has a squad deep enough to trust like he has in the past with the injuries as well.
Especially
and so I think he had to go for it, and he did. They got the points, and now he can rest him, and they get a nice favorable run over the Christmas holiday, as opposed to teams like City and Arsenal who have to face each other. Liverpool and Arsenal who have to face each other. City play Luton and Palace in that tight window, and that bodes well for them. Luton, Palace, Brentford. That is their and Everton. That is their run in the Premier League.
2 of the next 4 match weeks are basically, or two of the next 4 weeks are double match weeks. Yeah. So it's this week we have matches this weekend and then midweek, and then around the weekend before Christmas and then after Christmas. We're very, very busy. Some sides also have EFL Cup. I know,
and
Liverpool,
not to mention Champions League. One more Champions League game in there for
that's right
for 4 of us. So, there's a reason why.
Was that a shot at Liverpool? We have Europa.
Oh yeah, it's true. No, I was just saying there's only 4 teams.
Villa's got conference.
Be 5. So we have European pictures. You got it's a busy Christmas period, festive season. So we'll see.
Did Newcastle get host? Did Newcastle get host?
It was dubious, but I don't know if they deserved to win that game. I think
they didn't.
Probably,
but they got
fair.
hosed on the call.
So it was a light call, but PSG should have scored before then. So I think the result was fair. The penalty wasn't. So
to me, 2 separate things. I agree. Yeah. Paris should have beaten them and had tons of chances to do that. But I believe they came out and said that the penalty should not have been given.
Right.
In fact, in today's match, it wasn't. I don't believe it wasn't Arsenal. It was the other match that they cut to. I was listening to it on the radio, where the exact same type of thing. It was a deflected ball off the thigh, and it came up and hit somebody in the arm, which at St. James, I'm sorry, at Parc de Paris, it was given as a penalty, and it was not given today in that match. I forget which one it was. It might have been, was it Dortmund? I don't remember. But that was that. But I agree. Let me ask a quick question about Newcastle, because right now they're at the bottom of it. They need they basically need to beat Milan, which they can do because it's at St. James, and they need Dortmund to win at home to PSG, and they can go through. But if you're Newcastle, is Champions League more important than the Premier League?
No, and they don't need the money. I think folks, their squad's not. You're seeing the limitations of their squad right now.
Well, that's why I'm asking, because it's going to be hard to be good at both.
It is, and I think you're spot on. They could technically get through with a draw in that Dortmund PSG if they win by more than 2 goals. just because they'll have a better goal differential than
Right.
than PSG. But yeah, I mean, I think it's 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other for them. If they get knocked out, that's a good thing. If they go on, that's a good thing too. I think for them, they are ahead of schedule, and so anything this season, you count as a bonus. And I think they're not really in the running for anything more than a top 4 place. I think they'll still be in that even if they drop out, and they're not really in. They don't. I would rather advance, or lose. I do not want to finish third if I'm Newcastle. That extra Europa League round would actually be more detrimental. So dropping into Europa would be the worst outcome. So winning and PSG winning would be the worst result for them. But getting knocked out of Europe altogether would be the best. But
they have a chance.
We'll see what happens. They do have a chance. I still think they'll beat Milan, and it'll come down to Dortmund.
I agree there. So United did the United thing today. Every time people think United is back, and they certainly looked good against Everton, but not as good as I think is being portrayed. I mean, they could have easily lost that match. XG was actually in favor of Everton over United. But you still have to finish, and Everton did a poor job of finishing, and it's probably the best Onana has played as in terms of defending his goal all year. He was really good against Everton. But I mean, you take a 2-0 and a 3-1 lead at Galatasaray, and it was the opposite of what Onana has been the last few weeks, where he looked like he turned a corner. I mean, the two free kick goals, I mean, you just got to do better. And they didn't. And now they're so they have to win at home against Bayern. That shouldn't be too difficult. And they need Copenhagen and Galatasaray to draw. Otherwise, they're out.
I think for this United team, they're in the same boat as Newcastle. Losing wouldn't be the worst thing in the world for them. Getting completely out of Europe and being able to just kind of play once a week and kind of figure things out, that might actually keep Ten Hag's job longer than I anticipated that he would keep it. Because then he can actually just prioritize the league, get an 11 fit, and kind of keep it going and ticking over so that they can actually make some investments in January, maybe make some more signings in the summer and go again. But it's getting late early for these guys, and I think it could be over in the next few weeks if they do not. I think dropping out of Europe would be good for United.
Might be,
but we'll see.
Can
we talk briefly about the game of the day
today?
Benfica Inter.
Oh, I didn't. I saw Benfica take a 2-0 lead on Inter, but I don't know what happened. So you're going to have to fill me in.
A phenomenal game. I was watching it alongside, but Benfica took a 3-0 lead in 34 minutes.
Right.
And then drew 3-3. As
there was a lot of that going on.
A lot of that going on. So both teams scored 3 goals in 20 minutes on either side of the half.
Awesome.
Yeah. Super fun game. But that sends Benfica crashing out. Inter and Real Sociedad move on. So
Inter had already advanced.
That group was done, but so they play Sociedad in the last match for who wins the group. They're tied on goal differential. They're tied on points. It comes down to head-to-head.
Look, it's been super fun. It's been difficult to for me, just because of the time of the day and when these matches are. It's been difficult to actually catch. I've been listening to them on the radio, which is cool. I mean, they, I think the coverage on the radio is just awesome. They do a great job. So, and they go from game to game to game to game. So it's been very cool, but I really wish I've been able to watch some of these. I've seen highlights for basically all of the Premier League teams. I watched the Onana show today. Not a great, that's off Broadway, by the way. And I'm not concerned about Europa until the matches really start to matter. There's just not enough quality there.
No.
And sometimes Liverpool doesn't bring enough quality and they still win, which is fine.
Yeah.
I'll see. Let's see how many teenagers they play against Lask tomorrow, because there will be a lot. I think they had 5 teenagers in the squad in the match day team for their match a couple of weeks ago. 5 teenagers. It's just crazy.
That's nuts.
Yeah, it was insane. Let's go back to last week real quick before we make some picks. Let me just give you 60 seconds on City Liverpool. Ecstatic to be able to draw at the Etihad. Ecstatic.
Me too.
Yeah, it was a good result for you.
Perfect result. No complaint. But I mean, I think, at what cost is Alisson out for an extended period of time with a hamstring now? That's what I was hearing.
He's going to miss
out for the next 4 weeks.
I don't think it's that much. I don't think it. It might be.
I did see where he was potentially in doubt for the Arsenal game. That he would either be back then or it would be another week. They said 3 weeks or so. So
what I read, what I read today was definitely not tomorrow. Definitely not Fulham. Most likely not Palace, which is the next match.
Gotcha.
And honestly, I would keep him out until they felt like they needed him, and that's probably not until United. Yeah. So that's how far I would keep him on the sideline. Kelleher is good. I got no problem playing Kelleher. It'll do him some good to get some Premier League burn anyway. So because he's been playing basically most of the Europa matches. So he's sort of match fit, if you can be match fit, playing 6 matches in
once a month, basically
2.5 months.
Yeah.
But he's going to play. Jota is probably longer term, and while he's not necessarily a starter, he is certainly a valuable player. But they've got so many options in midfield that can also bump up. Curtis Jones could play as a left forward. Yeah, they could play Elliott if they wanted to up. They like to use Elliott as a sub coming off the bench. But now it's time really to get Luis Diaz back in the starting lineup every match. But real quick I thought Liverpool got a point when they weren't any good. To get a point at the Etihad when you're not good. And
that's a tough place to go play. That's a huge result.
It's a great result.
If you gave me a point, if you gave me today, I could get a point at the Etihad. I'd take it and walk away.
Oh, yeah.
No questions asked. So no complaints. I think it's more on City than it is on Liverpool. And I know, credit to Liverpool for hanging in there. I thought City looked good, but in
the first half they did.
The first half they did. And they should have scored more, but they seem to have something missing, and I can't quite put my finger on it.
Oh, I know who it is. It's Kevin De Bruyne.
Obviously it's Kevin De Bruyne, but he is. Last year they were able to weather his inevitable absences throughout the year because he'll miss a few games here for a hamstring there or a knock here because they had a good one because they were a little bit more well-rounded of a team. This year, they are a little bit more reliant on Haaland really being the only offensive threat. They're not really getting goals spread around the team like they're used to from City.
Bernardo's their best player right now.
Yeah, he's their most all-around player. But you have Bernardo, you have Alvarez, you have Doku, you have Grealish. You would think you have Foden. You would think there would be more goals in that team. And what I'm saying, there would be more goals in the team.
They lead the league in goals, don't they?
In goals, right? But it just feels as though they're not as well-rounded as they were. So
I don't believe they've played well all year.
They have 33 goals this year, and 14 of them are from Haaland. Compare that to an Arsenal who have 27 goals, but no player with more than 5.
Right.
And so where do you want to be? You probably want to be somewhere in the middle, which is maybe closer to where Liverpool is, honestly, where they've got Salah getting enough goals that they've got a target attack, but they're still spreading the goals around quite well. And so
Yeah.
That's going to be the challenge for them moving forward, is kind of figuring out where they're going to get more secondary scoring. And right now they're losing 1-0 to Arsenal. They're drawing 1-1 to Liverpool, and
they're losing to Wolves.
Yeah.
They lost 2-1 to Wolves.
So we'll see. And you just don't see City scoring just a goal. Like, you would think to beat City, you need to have a chance to be in a game with City, to draw City, you need a minimum of 2 goals and then some luck. That's how it's been the last couple of years.
Well,
to get
Liverpool
a 1-1,
got one and got some luck.
Yeah.
I mean, to
but
be perfectly honest,
get 2 and get some luck.
And to be perfectly honest, that's probably a goal that should have been given City, the Ruben Diaz header.
Yeah.
I mean, it was relatively soft for a foul to be given, by sight. I think it had something to do with that. It was well, yeah. I know what you're going to say.
But I'm not going to. We don't need to go back and relitigate the past. But it was very soft to be given. But
it was
what you going to do?
Significantly softer than Joe Linton, Gabriel.
Yeah.
Significantly softer than that. The only difference for me is that Alisson is the keeper, and you're going to err on the side of the keeper in that situation, but there just wasn't enough. So I just real quick thought about really the whole game for Alisson, because the first goal was just he slipped on a goal kick on a punt, and he shanked it. And then it just comes right back the other way. And I didn't think he moved particularly well on the shot. He got a glove to it, but I know it's Holland, so we automatically ooh and ah and gush. But I think it was one that Alisson should have saved. And
I mean, for being
I wonder
the best
if he
keeper in the
wasn't
world,
already
he probably
hurt.
Wants it back. Maybe.
I wonder if he
wonder
wasn't
that's
already
where
hurt.
He slipped. Sometimes those slips are where they happen, and then you're a little ginger and don't move. You can't get quite as good of a jump there, because he's definitely made some huge saves. I've seen him. He's the best one-on-one keeper in the world, and you'd expect him, if he gets a hand on a ball, to push it outside the post. So,
and he played twice during the international break, and it's just very different when you're playing down in South America, and the weather is very different than you come back to in the UK.
Cold weather. I mean, that.
So I wonder if he was already kind of laboring a little bit, because his other kicks weren't good either. Yeah. So it was not a good Alisson. Hopefully he won't be out very long. Let me just bring up the one other match before we look ahead to match week 14. I could watch. It's not so much that it was Tottenham Villa, but that's a good match anyway. Tottenham against Emi Martinez for a neutral is, I mean, give me a bowl of popcorn and just let me watch. Because there were scoring chances galore, and Emi was awesome. It was such a fun match to watch. There were only 3 goals in it. I think there were just 3. It was 2-1 Villa, right?
I mean, the ball hit the back of the net 6 times. So, but yeah. No, I mean, that was a great game. And it also shows where the limitations are on that Spurs side. And I don't want this to turn onto a bag on Spurs podcast, but we can definitely make it that if we want. But they looked really good to start the game. I mean, you have to give them credit. They came out and they should have gotten 2 or 3 goals. They should have been up. Forget the offsides. That's not an objective call. That's an objective call. It's not subjective. They draw lines. They make it clear he was offside. And so, over the course of the season, Son will toe that line and score his fair share because he times it right. His timing was just a little bit off last week, and that's fine. But when they continued through the game, you just saw how they tired, and that lack of depth allowed Villa more and more possession, more and more control into the game. And once they got, late into the first half, 45 plus 7, that first goal. And then once they got past the 30-minute mark of the second half and you're into the dying last part of the game from 60 minutes on, you give up 2 more goals, you give up another goal. I mean,
Yep.
Tottenham, I would love to know, and I'm sure somebody has the stat somewhere, but how many of their goals have come late against? So how many goals have they given up from 60 on? 60 to 90?
I think they've scored and conceded more goals in stoppage than any other team in the league.
Yeah. And that concession stat is what should worry you if you're a Spurs fan, because it tells you that you're 1, too open late, and 2, you're not conditioned.
No,
and
they're always going for it.
And that's a problem. And if you want to always go for it, fine. I'm not against that. But you have to be able to have the legs to get back so you are not that exposed. Because it's not just about going for it. It's the fact that you're dying at the end of these games.
Yeah.
And you're giving up goals and you're just not in it at the end. And so, Chelsea, they decided to play that high line. We can laugh at them all they want. But in the end, they lost their legs and they gave up a hat trick to one of the worst finishers in the league so far this year. And so, the only player, I said this when we were on with Jack, but the only player to score a Premier League hat trick and go down in stature was because you guys just didn't have the legs to keep up over time. And you were playing with 9 men, but you still didn't have. I don't think you would have had it if you had 11. So we'll see. I just think that's going to be a struggle for them as things go on. They'll get players back, but they'll have to work them back into fitness. Bentancur is now out again. That was a tough foul, but for every Spurs fan calling for a red on Matty Cash for that foul, just consider it karmic luck for every Pedro Porro or Christian Romero tackle that has been committed in the exact
didn't draw
same
red.
game.
Exactly. Absolutely.
So
absolutely,
it all comes out.
No, they're super fun to watch, and it's good that I'm not emotionally invested in anything that they do, unless I am wagering against them. Which, let me see, will that happen this week? There's a fair chance of that, isn't there?
There is.
You want to get to match week 14?
Let's get into it.
All right. I don't think we're going to spend a lot of time on this one. Gary O'Neill feels like 6 points have been robbed from him and his side. Wolves, again, was the maybe treated harshly with 3 second-half penalties. Look, it was a penalty. He was going away from goal, so I could see it not being given, and it wasn't given initially. And then they went, he tripped him. So we give the penalty, but
it's a box and it was in there. And so, we'll see. And then not to mention, hey, how about an assist for Jedi coming in with an awesome play up the wing, nice ball in, Alex Iwobi with a good finish.
And
so
Jedi's been playing great.
Credit to Fulham. I mean, they created enough that it wasn't just the penalties that won them the game. They were in it the whole way. And that was a fun game up and down. I didn't get to watch it, but I got to watch the extended 20-minute supercut of the game. And it seemed like it was all action. And so
it was fun.
It was a fun game. So
it was fun. It ain't going to be fun for them. It ain't going to be fun for them at the Emirates.
No, I don't think so. I think Arsenal are rounding into form. I think this will be a pretty easy win. I'll take Arsenal minus 330 at home.
Yeah, minus the 330. By the way, you have a substantial lead.
I had a pretty rough week on Sunday. Sunday kind of brought me back down to earth a little bit.
You had a rough money week, and because I and Jack both had draw with Liverpool and City, it was a good money week, even though I went 3-7. So it saved me. You and I are almost in a flat-footed tie financially. Or units, if you will. Let's move on.
Units,
Brentford, home to Luton. Brentford is minus 220. If you think Luton can cause a problem here, plus 550 for Luton to win at the GTEC.
The one thing about Luton that has impressed me is they know who they are.
Yeah.
They are not trying to be something they're not, which gives them a level of security and ability to be in it, even when they have no business being in a game. You saw it against Liverpool. They could have lost that game 6-1, 8-0, whatever it might have been. They salvaged a draw because they know who they are. They're fine to sit back and weather the storm, but they're going to take their 1 or 2 chances. and you know what? I loved the way they played at the weekend to get another result, 2-1 over Palace. That's a great result. So I like the way they're playing. I like that they can cause some problems. Brentford too looked like a sure outfit in the back, but they had nothing going forward, apart from one Ramsdale early mistake that, credit to him, he recovered from really well and ended up having a really good game after that. And so
I think he's trying to throw the match, but that's fine.
But I think at the end of the day, I think this actually, I'm going to take the middle ground here. Plus 370 for the draw is good value. So give me a draw between Luton and Brentford.
That is good value. I think Brentford will win. I don't know why Jan Wissa didn't shoot the ball. Why did you pass the ball after Ramsdale made a mockery of it? But whatever.
Credit to Declan Rice. You watch that replay, the anticipation to go straight to the line. I mean, just impressive.
Tremendous.
So, yeah.
Or does anything he does like that surprise anybody? No.
No.
Burnley home to Sheffield. Burnley. This might be the only time Burnley will be minus money, minus 120.
And they should be. I'm never picking Sheffield, keeping the streak alive. Let's go Burnley at home.
Yes, it's a clean sweep so far. Actually, no, you have a draw with Brentford. Luton. I have Burnley at home. Forest home to Everton. So much for Everton being fired up. Actually, they were. They could have easily won that match. United wasn't. United scored. Good for them. And can I just say that goal? Garnacho's goal was bananas.
Yeah,
absolutely bananas. So
it was impressive.
Best goal I've ever seen.
I mean, in the last few years, I can't think of a better one. Obviously, you've got Rooney's bike, you've got the Wilshire team goal, and then there's a amazing, almost identical goal that is often forgotten. Irony on that one, Christian Benteke, when he was playing for Liverpool, absolute monster bike into the corner against United when Ashley Young was a defender for United. And so Ashley Young has seen that same goal scored on him twice. I'll see if I can't find the clip and
should ask him. Somebody should ask him about it.
Yeah, somebody. That Benteke goal, I feel bad for him. It's probably one of the most forgotten amazing goals in Premier League history. But yeah, Garnacho, amazing. Did you see incredible goal of the season?
No question about it. Did you see what XG Philosophy tweeted out after
you broke our model? You broke our algorithm. Yeah.
he broke our model. All right, I've got this as a draw at City Grounds.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Forest just haven't been playing that great, and so they're Everton will win this one. I don't know other than just I have a good feeling about them rebounding from that game. They played well enough to win last week. They played well enough to get points last week, but you kind of the thing about that goal, and I know this is an Everton game. We're talking about United the whole time, but the thing about that Garnacho goal is it took some of the sting out of the crowd. Because they were just like, whoa. And that probably hurt Everton in kind of building a platform and being able to create some waves of pressure on United. Yep. And once United had that goal, they were able to kind of like settle in. And I think it kind of neutered what could have been a much spicier contest from Everton. So credit to that goal. It was amazing.
Had Everton cashed in on one of their chances to equalize, I think it would have brought it right back. They just didn't.
Yeah,
and
they just didn't.
Right. Which is kind of old Everton.
Right.
So Bournemouth home to Aston Villa, who a super fun team to watch. And look, they're fourth in the table at the third of the way through. They are fourth. Shouts to Villa.
Shouts to Chris.
Yeah.
Shouts to our buddy Chris in Alaska. I hope you're listening, man. Incredible. We've got listeners all over the place, but up the villains, right? Most points in 2023 behind just City.
Yeah.
Tied with 71 points with Arsenal at this point in the year. Really impressive work from Unai Emery. I like Villa away to go ahead and get that result. They're playing well, and we'll keep it rolling.
I've got a draw.
Ooh.
I've got a draw. And actually, so does Jack. Jack won the week last week. It's the first time he has won a week. It took him 13 weeks to do it, but he finally won a week. So good for him.
Nice job, Jack.
Yeah, but I don't know. A little bit of a wake-up call for Villa, they haven't normally been good away from home. So they got the result.
They got the
last
result,
week
and they
at
didn't.
Tottenham,
And yeah, so
but
we'll see. Maybe that'll spur them on.
so
Get it?
I could see this being 2-2. Bournemouth's got just enough, and
Yeah.
I think the points deduction to Everton maybe gives Bournemouth, Luton, somebody down there a little ray of light that, oh, there's somebody else. Because Everton's good, but Everton's not so good where that 10 points isn't going to be problematic. I think they'll climb out of it, but they got nothing out of a match at home against United. And United, I don't think United is really that good. They're getting results, but I just don't think they're that good. Maybe they'll kick on. Chelsea home to Brighton, which could be the most exciting match of the weekend.
Could be, but it's with Reece James out, that really hurts Chelsea. That's going to be a big loss for them. I
have
think
Gusto, who they like.
Yeah, he's good. He's fine, but Reece James is still, I think, a better player, and so it's still a downgrade for them. And Brighton have been struggling. Brighton also with a red card to Lewis Dunk, so both teams out with a key midfield or key defensive player, but I don't really see much separating the two sides, so I'm going to go with the draw here.
That's what I've got as well. I think we're going to see some goals, though.
Yeah,
I do. I think we're going to see some goals in that one. Chelsea they obviously can create, and Brighton has not been the same Brighton that we saw at the beginning of the year, at the end of last year. Yeah. Liverpool at home to Fulham. I'm just going to say right off the bat, I'm a little skittish about this.
No, you're not. You were skittish of it because you're a
little bit.
That's because you're a Liverpool fan and you've been skittish about every home game.
I have
Liverpool win this comfortably.
Comfortably. I hope you're right. I am taking Liverpool, but I'm a little bit nervous about Fulham.
Fulham don't have enough to threaten Liverpool on a consistent basis.
You're right. How many chances will Darwin put over the bar? I'm just asking. Asking. That's too many. I need Darwin to pretend he's wearing a Uruguayan shirt because he scores at will for his country. At will. He scores basically in every match for them. So, but I think we're going to get Luis Diaz back in the starting 11. Newcastle home to United. This could be awesome. I have no idea who's got anybody left. These two squads could be exhausted. Only one manager isn't embattled. So I've got Newcastle at home, but I think this is going to be a great match.
Tough place to play. Their crowd will be up for it. Second week in a row, United are going into a hostile environment. Third game in a row if you count Galatasaray, which is no easy place to go play. No. The Turkish league is a bit of a zoo. I like Newcastle at home to get all 3 points.
I do too. The United in the Champions League has never won at Galatasaray. They're 0 for 4. They did get a draw, but they have never won a match in Champions League play at Galatasaray. West Ham home to Crystal Palace. I don't know. This game could get weird, I think.
Yeah. I mean, West Ham have won, a few in a row now, back-to-back weeks of wins, looking not that impressive doing
Terrible.
it.
Terrible.
But then Palace have 1 win in their last 5, and including a loss to Luton. So it's just, I agree with you. It could be a weird game. You could go any which direction, but at the end of the day, I think I'll edge West Ham just because even though I like some of Palace's players a little better, I can count on Jared Bowen probably the most out of any player on the pitch.
I'm taking Palace to win away.
All right.
Why not? And our only double match of the weekend, which is probably, I would think, is going to be the easiest one, right? No, maybe? Yeah. City at home to Tottenham. I think this is going to get crazy.
It always does.
Tottenham's going to push like they're going to have a go, mate.
Have a go, mate.
Even if we have just 5 men, we're going to have a go. but
So
they're going to give up too many goals to City.
Probably, but again, you could have said that last week against Liverpool. The City should have had more. You could have said that in a variety of different games. And so I just don't know. And Tottenham at City has been a weird fixture where Tottenham has gotten results they haven't deserved over the years. And it's just been like a fluky game. And so
a couple of years ago, they won at City.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a wild game. I remember that game vividly because I was
3-2.
pulling into Lonnie Pool to start around. I was listening to it in the car on the way in. And I was like, oh, City have this. And then the hair pull and all these other stuff. And so, or there's a penalty in the box. And yeah, I still think City win this one just because I don't think Tottenham, again, for all of City's issues, fitness isn't one of them.
Well, to an extent.
I love that we're talking about City as though they are like mid-table or really struggling when they are leading the league in goals scored, cruising in their Champions League group, undefeated, and have the best manager in the world. Like, I think they're okay. I think they're still the team to beat. I would still, if we were to do a Premier League power rankings right now, I would still put them number one. Even if Arsenal are right there with them and Liverpool aren't too far behind. And so those three, I think, are a cut above the rest right now. And but City, I think, are still the cream of the class.
I think the absence of Gundogan matters. The absence so far all season of De Bruyne matters. I think KDB has the ability to connect everything, right? And right now they need Bernardo to do it. Hey, not having like so many of the players they don't have, not having Mahrez matters.
Sure.
All of the guys. Grealish has been hurt. Alvarez has kind of fallen off a little bit from where he was in the beginning of the season. They're the best team. They have the best manager. I agree, inevitable, but they're not playing great.
They aren't.
And you can be as good as you want and not play well. They're kind of, I said this how many times earlier, at the beginning of the year, they were fortunate that the fixtures lined up where they were getting easy matches because they were not playing well. Heck, they should have drawn at Sheffield. Should have drawn. Rodri comes through in stoppage time to get them 3 points. They only scored one. They gave up a goal late, and then Rodri 5 minutes later in stoppage time puts them back ahead 2-1. They have not played great, but they are the best team, and I'm not denying that. That's why I was just amazed that Liverpool could play poorly and get a result because they just managed to hold City down. And I actually think Liverpool outplayed them in the second half. They changed up the way they played a little bit in the second half. They went and really spent more time concentrating on Bernardo as opposed to Doku. And when they kind of controlled Bernardo, City's chances went away. Which
I think it's going to be fascinating, absolutely fascinating to watch how this season plays out. Because while City aren't playing as well, no one is running away from them. In January, in the middle of January last year, January 18th, Arsenal were 8 points up on City in the league,
right.
And City clawed their way back and won the league pretty easily by the end of it.
And they won every match.
Part of that, they won everything, and
for 3 months they won every match.
They're still capable of doing that. The other
100%.
The other piece of that, though, obviously, is if you look at how the teams are playing, everybody's playing a little differently this year. It's not the same season. And I think the defensive solidity of Arsenal give them a little bit more resilience to go through a stretch and hang in there and be in every game and not lose 3-0 away to Brighton like they did towards the tail end of last year. So that's going to be interesting to see if this newly reworked Arsenal defense helps them through the second phase of the year. And if Arsenal's attack starts to click, do they
they're going to have to score more.
Do they have a push in them to finish it? Or do City do what City do and finish inevitably? But Yeah, it's gonna be a fun week.
Yeah, I mean, I can't. The lead up, the run up to the new year is just going to be absolutely bonkers. I can't wait. And I will talk to you next week, my friend.
All right, happy birthday, Dad.
Yes, Ambudan.
Yes, indeed.
Ambudan to Sankar.
Indeed, our special guest. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, man. Peace.
All right.